fire and hot mess. Won't bring you church dynamics, make you feel free of judgment. My podcast is the one to make you feel blessed, not shameless. Free from shackles and chains. I'm just not. Let's talk about everything. Don't matter what you bring. You gonna leave with something. I promise you'll feel relief. So tune in and check it out. Tune in and check this show out. Avery Michael's new show. It's called what? I'm not church. Come on, tune in and check out. Check out. I'm not church. Come on and have some fun with I'm not church. This is that new show. This is that new podcast. Tune into Avery Michael's I'm not church.
What is up, everybody? It is your boy, Avery Michael Clark. And I'm here with episode number 3. I know, 3 episodes in. I know we had Leon Jones for the first one. Angeline Gardner. Now, the person I brought for the third one, this is one of my best friends. She's like sister. My assistant at junior camp. I mean, she is one for the books. She will make you laugh. She might make you cry. She gonna check you on your feelings. Put you in your place. But she's a great human being, and I love her to death. Please welcome my best friend, Kailyn Williams. Kailyn, welcome to the show. How do you feel to be a part of the podcast?
Kind of nervous, but I am looking forward to it.
Nervous? Never nervous. You should never be nervous working with me. It's always a thrill working with me. See, silence is a deadly killer. I just want you to know that. But anyway, first question. So I asked everybody this question. What problems do you see in the world? Like it's a big problem in the world that needs to be changed, and what could be done to change it?
I think the number one problem is that people don't accept truth. I will say that. I think that's the number one problem.
People don't accept truth. Ooh, that's deep. Now, what can we do to change that? Or what do you see as a way to change that?
So I think that just like everything else in life, we like to overthink and overanalyze things and overcomplicate things when it's just really simple. And we just need to go back to the basics. So like, for example, when you were in elementary school and you have a true or false question, right? You only have a right or wrong answer. That's it. It's right or it's wrong. There is no gray area. It's right or wrong. That's it.
Right or wrong.
So I think that if we get back to realizing that, instead of trying to compromise things that we shouldn't compromise, it will make it much easier. So just remember the things that you know to be true and you know not to be true. Okay. And stand on morals and values, essentially.
So, you're saying pretty much like Jonathan McReynolds' song, there is no gray. So it's just black or white. Oh, okay. All right. I like it. All right. Now here's going to be the deep question. This part we're going to talk for a minute on this question. You ready? All right. Dealing with how do you, now as a lot of y'all don't know, Kit-Kat is going in to be, what career are you going in to be?
I am becoming a child life specialist.
Child life specialist. All right, so she's doing special. So, in the world today, is it easier, as you become a specialist dealing with things, is it easier to work with church people or non-church people?
I believe people are people. Whether they're of a religion or not, they're going to have the same problems and they're going to act the same.
All right, so you feel like neither one is more difficult?
Nope.
Neither one is more difficult. Look, so they're all the same. So as you being a specialist in board,
differently. That's the only.
So, okay, let's put it this way: which one gets more on your nerves?
I feel like that would be a judgmental answer I would give.
It's not a judgmental answer. It's an honest answer. Ain't nobody gonna judge you. This we keep it 100.
Most. That's the question. Non-church people.
Non-church people get on your nerves the most.
Mm-hmm.
All right, explain on that. Expound on that.
So for me, because the current state of my life, I try to continuously get closer to God. Now, sometimes I may fall, as we all do, but my goal is to get closer to God and live how I'm supposed to. And a lot of people forget that people in the church are just the same as the people on the outside, except they know Jesus. At least they should know Jesus, which is why you're there, you know. But I would say that people outside of the church, especially when they left the church,
Yeah.
and they decide not to pursue the life that they know, even though they know better.
Okay.
And people that don't know, when you're not trying to get closer to God or trying to do better, and especially when you're in denial, you have this spirit and this attitude where you're very defensive and angry towards people that try to come to you in a peaceful, caring manner. You know, and they quickly throw labels on you when you're literally just showing concern and trying to help them. So they call you judgmental or high and mighty, you know, which is very annoying. Even when you're not being that way. Now, sometimes we all can be that, but that's not always the case. And Christians, because I'm a Christian, so that's why I say Christian. That's the only one I can really say. Christians are known to have a bad rep. Just because there's certain ones of us that act a fool and don't act Christ-like. That doesn't stand for the rest of us. But people will fight for that phrase for everybody else. Well, that doesn't represent everyone, but you let some bad Christians represent all of us. I just find it interesting. When it comes to other communities, they don't let that stand, but they'll accept that phrase for us. It's not right. Because you think all of us are bad and judgmental, and we're not. So it's just very annoying that they don't like labels, but yet they throw labels on us, which makes no sense whatsoever.
All right. So, do you feel like yes? But do you feel like we get that label, like as Christians, we get that label because of previous generations who kind of set that standard?
I mean, being a Christian and going through that type of label is like the same thing with the police, the same thing with Black people, the same thing with the LGBTQ community. It's like not everyone represents each other. You know, like some people in the LGBT community don't want kids to learn about being gay or any of that in elementary school because that's not what they're for. Some of them stand for it, some of them don't. Not all Christians are against abortion. Not all police hate Black people. Not all Black people are lazy and ignorant. You know, like so I feel like everybody just needs to look at people as people. Everyone is different.
And I think that's one thing that we kind of fall short on. Because like me and you have those conversations all the time where it's like somebody will place judgment on somebody. And they'll be like, you don't know their situation, you don't know what they're going through, you don't know their hardship, but you place the judgment because they have similarities to somebody else.
I mean, I get what yeah, we do have to talk a lot because there is a difference between casting judgment and making a judgment.
Yeah.
Because the way you judge people, you will be judged that same way. You know? So if I, like, for example, if I hold somebody accountable because they are doing something they're not supposed to be doing, and I'm saying, like, hey, you know, you shouldn't do that because you know better and this is hurting you, they're going to be like, oh, you're judging me. And it's like, that's not the same as the phrase judging. Like me judging someone is like, oh, how can you do that? Oh, you're going to hell. That's a judgment. It's a difference. You are supposed to hold one another accountable. The Bible tells us that. And if you care about someone, you're going to want them to do better. Otherwise, you can't really say you care about them.
Now, I have heard the term, especially what you say, to care about somebody, where like people will care about people, but then they'll like to protect their feelings. They won't tell them about it. Like I'm like they'll hide situations, they'll hide problems, they'll hide different things. Like because I'm protecting this friend's feelings because I know like if I out them or if I tell them like their feelings are going to be hurt, it's going to put them in a dark place and everything like that. You, as being a specialist in dealing with stuff like that, do you feel people should do that? Like protect people's feelings? Like especially if
Um,
you're dealing with kids. Like should they protect the child's feelings? Like I'm not gonna tell the kid everything. I'm gonna protect their feelings. So I'm gonna
um,
sugarcoat it or veggie give it the vegetarian descriptive to protect their feelings so that they don't feel hurt.
I would say so for my specialty. I am just now about to enter into the master's, so I am not a specialist yet. But
Mm.
with doing a bachelor's in psychology and then also being a Christian and living a life where we are in the U.S. and I am a black person that's also a woman, and I now don't identify as just black because I am mixed with other things, and that has something to do with the long story why I'm just now identifying as mixed. But I would say that sparing one's feelings is not as important as helping them. So in the long run, you have to, well, I would say, pray for guidance if you're a Christian because you can make the wrong choice. But in the long run, you have to decide: is this person's feelings, are their feelings more important than what the results of the situation would be? Like if you're not telling someone something because you're worried they may take their life, that's one thing. But if you're not telling someone something just because you're afraid of not being invited to a party, then I feel like you have to see which one matters the most.
Which is valid. This is why she don't spare my feelings. Yeah, Kayla don't spare my feelings at all. At all. At all.
And I care.
Yeah, at all. I
I
love that she cares. Like, don't get me wrong. Like me and not you sipping the water like Kermit the Frog. Okay,
mm,
all right. But that's one thing I love about Kaylin is because like she doesn't spare my feelings. And with her being my assistant at junior camp, I'll come up with ideas. I'll come up with plans. It should break my heart with the idea, but it'll be so. She's like, and because I love you, I'm going to tell you no. And I'm like, but I'll have a whole plan and idea. But I love that about it. That's one of her great qualities. Like she like, I want to be honest with you. I want to be respectful of your feelings, but no, I'm not doing that. So that's a good characteristic. So with you being especially in kids, because you were talking about like like a party and stuff like that. Do you feel like parents should protect kids' feelings, or do you feel like they should still tell the kids, but not, but find a better way to tell them?
You got to give me an example of a situation.
Okay, let's say you have a parent who's a vegetarian,
Hmm.
and their child goes to school. They go to school. They see the other kids eating meat and everything like that, so they go to their parents, and they're like, "Why can't we have chicken?" So instead of the parent giving them the whole biblical background of reasons why we don't
Hmm.
eat meat, they're like, it's just a decision me and daddy made a long time ago that we're going to eat healthier.
Okay, so in that situation, because we're simply talking about dieting, when I think one thing that I've noticed, at least from observation and experience, is that with children, you have to talk to them. You have to be honest with them. If they're at an age where they can understand what you're saying to them, you should tell them the honest truth. I feel like when people, especially parents, tell their kids because I said so, or because that's what we're doing. Now, I get that after like 4 or 5 times of answering your question, when the kids keep saying why,
Yeah.
because then you're getting frustrated and you want to shut it down. But I believe that it's very important when answering questions. Because if you want this kid to trust you and act right and communicate right, you have to teach them that, you know? So it's kind of like the same thing when we're talking about general people showing them that they're this thing. So like if you're a police officer, you're gonna dress like a police officer. You're going to obey the rules, at least when you're driving. You know, you're going to treat people nicely when you're helping them. You're going to show that you're a policeman. If you want your kid to be a good person, you have to show them that they're good. You don't want your kid to have issues with communication. Therefore, you need to be the first one that shows them what communication looks like. If they simply ask you, hey, why don't we eat meat? Well, whatever your answer is, that's what you say it for. Like me personally, I stopped eating meat. I'm trying to be vegan. But a college student, broke people beggars can't be choosers, okay? So we're limited sometimes, you know? But there's a reason you do things, and you should be honest about that reason. They need to know why they don't do something. Maybe they'll understand and have a greater appreciation. You know, just like the church should say, no matter what religion, because most religions agree on abstinence until marriage. Maybe if they tell you why, instead of just shoving abstinence down your throat, more people be okay with being abstinent. I know that if the church told a lot of people, they'd be like, oh, yeah, I wouldn't have done it in the first place, you know? It's
But I think that's the thing, like, especially with the abstinence and stuff like that, like being as an adult. Like when you go to school and everything like that, they like once you reach an elementary school, you know, you start to learn about liking girls and everything like that. Then once you're in high school, it's the pressure. For a lot of young people, it is the pressure. And so, like in high school, you learn about the birds and the bees, sex and all that, pregnant and all that stuff. You learn about it. But I think one thing I had a conversation with, I think me and you talked about it once before too. Like the world is attractive. So having sex is an attractive concept. So practicing abstinence is not. Because like you sitting there with a girl looking cute and everything like that, you like, how you doing? Okay, how you doing? Like, what are we gonna do after this? And you get to a point. So the abstinence is always the hard part. So you saying like if people were told about like why you need to be abstinent and everything like that, it could protect them. Yeah. A lot of kids shouldn't be having kids at certain times or certain ages. They should be waiting.
You know, I can't represent or speak for every Adventist, but I know from personally being an Adventist and trying to live the right way. Because all of us have fall, or we have a past, or we go through a phase where we do what we know we ain't supposed to be doing. But
how we do
at least,
do it. Okay.
I mean, it is what it is. Let's just call it what it is, okay? But every time I speak, you know, I'm gonna speak from a religious point of view because that's what I am. I don't like that term spiritual because you know sometimes spiritual they ain't talking about what spirit they represent. Okay, that's all I'm saying. But for me, I am a religious person. I am Adventist. I take Jesus serious. I get so irritated when people talk bad about Jesus. It's so they get on my last nerve. It offends me more when they do that than when they talk about me because I'm no better than Jesus. So they're gonna talk about me anyway. But for being a Christian and being abstinent, I think that it all comes down. You know, if you claim to be a Christian, you can't be Christian and not have Christ in your life. You know, that's literally the first part of the word, you know? And I think we forget, Jesus said, if you love me, right? God said, correction, if you love me, keep my commandments, okay? Well, it's all the Trinity, they're all the same person, but I want to make sure I properly say it. But if you love me, keep my commandments. And even though being absent is not in the first 10 commandments, at least you think it's not, when it says thou shalt not commit adultery. God, all right? Your relationship with Jesus, your relationship, if you only believe in God, I don't know what to say for other people, but for me personally, if you believe in God, your relationship with God is very important, right? Jesus is supposed to be your first spouse. You are supposed to be absent until marriage. You have a covenant with Jesus once you accept Jesus into your life. It is what it is. That is what you have done. You have agreed to these terms. That's why they ask you all these questions. You agreed to them right before they dip you in that water. If you love me, keep my commandments. Very simple. His commandments are not that hard. They are very simple, but we try to make it seem like it's so hard because that's the sin. It is not easy to deny what you want. Otherwise, everyone will be doing it. But, like, for me, I am now abstinent. In my last relationship, we did not have sex in our relationship. Now, does that mean it wasn't temptation? Oh, best believe it. It was temptation all the time. Boy be fine, okay? All right? Okay.
Wait, not boy be fine.
Boy be fine. Oh, I'm sorry. Correction. let me make sure I say this. Christian or not, there's a difference between a boy and a man. Man be fine, all right? And that was a man. My point being, it was very hard. But also, when I did have premarital sex, right? When I had sex and I wasn't supposed to be, no one told us about, hey, you shouldn't do it. You know, no one told you why. They just like, don't do it. If they told me why, I promise you I would still be a virgin. And I'd be happy with that too, because it does affect you emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, and mentally. Very, very. And sometimes physically, especially if you don't do it right. So, with that being said, people need to acknowledge the importance of educating others.
Yeah.
Whether your feelings are hurt or not, guess what? Your feelings are going to be hurt sometimes. You can't be sensitive and a Christian. I don't know what Bible y'all reading, but them Christians went through something. You cannot be sensitive and be a
That's
Christian.
valid.
Just because it can be hurt. It is what it is. Now, does that mean there's anything wrong being sensitive? No. But don't let your feelings affect your salvation. That's all I'm saying.
That's the word. That's the word. Don't let your feelings affect your salvation. Now, I
Yeah.
think that's one thing. Knowledge is key. Knowledge is real key about a lot of things, and I wish. But that's the thing. Like that's in the church and outside the church as well. Like in politics, in job decisions and stuff like that. Like the more you know about everything that you're going for, then the more you know about the career path. Like with you, you're being a specialist. The more you know about your career, the better you'll do at your position. With me being in music, media, and all that stuff, the more I learn, the better position it put me in to a place where now people call on me for assistance, for help, and stuff like that. But it was like I took the time to learn it. And it's kind of like that with sex and abstinence and all that stuff. The more you know, like a lot of people that like, you have people who did not expect to get pregnant, but they haven't. But the thing about it is, you knew playing that game. When you play with that game, when you do certain things, things happen. You can get a disease, you can get pregnant, you can get all that stuff. Same thing with people who drink, same thing with people who smoke, same thing with people who run a church, who are in the church sanctuary and being a part of that world. If you don't learn about everything, you can mess up and you got problems and complications. Which I hope people learn from that. Like you need to like literally learn more about the Bible. Learn more about God. If you're building this relationship with God, learn more about God. Focus in on God. Build that relationship with God. You should know everything about God as a Christian, and you never stop learning as a Christian. And I think that's one thing a lot of people in the church have that problem where they feel like they know everything. So that's where the judgment comes from. Like I've been in this church for 50 something years. Okay, I know the way you Christians are supposed to act. And it's like, nah. As years progress, times change, and everything like that, you kind of learn to adapt and change with it. But I'm not saying change from what God has already instructed you to do. But a lot of people base one thing I laugh about. I think we've talked about it. Is like in the churches, a lot of people use Ellen White. Like Ellen White has a lot of detail, focus, and things like that. And then they'll base what she says in a scripture or a passage to today's time. And then you kind of look at it and you're like, but and I was like, if you learn more about Ellen White, you will understand what she was talking. She was talking about something that was happening in that time period that will be changed into a different revelation in this day and age. Like I know there was a big thing about movies, going to the movies was a whole big thing. And people are like, oh, you can't go to movies as a Christian. And I was like, Ellen, and like when you look into the details of what she was talking about at the movies of that time, the movies of that time was kind of like strip clubs, parties, and stuff like that. More of a theatric thing. She's not talking about going to watch a picture. And so, but I didn't learn that until I went and did the studies. I remember I went to school and somebody was like, yeah, you're not supposed to be going to the movies. And I was confused as a mug. But when I went and learned it, I was like, oh, she was talking about something else. And so it's kind of like you said, the more people learn about their Christianity, the more people learn about the things that they're going into, The more knowledge you know, the better you'll grow. And that's the same thing. You never stop learning. Even at church, you never stop learning. You can learn a new skill. A young person can teach you something as an older generation. You can't do that all the time with junior camp. We're teaching older generation stuff all the time. Yes, we go to war about it. Yes, we have to fight dialogue. And sometimes it may annoy. Like, Kate, you've been annoyed a couple of times when we were dealing with the older generation at junior camp, where they don't understand the concept that we're trying to create. But like once they learn it and they adapt it, it's a beautiful thing. It's one of the most beautiful things to see that change.
I will say though, on the movie part, like I said, not all events are the same. Some would disagree with you. It's like,
A bunch of
research, like, but if people don't want to do it,
and
that's interpretation, and you just gotta respect it.
Yeah, and that's why I think that's one thing I've learned. Like, and you know me, I'm most chillest person. Like, I would not get into it with anybody. They can bring me something, and I'll literally listen to them talk, and I will respect their answer. I'm not gonna change their mind. It's not my job to change somebody's mind. I can give them my perspective, just like me. We give each other our perspective, but we're like, it's not our job to change your mind. I'm not gonna force this down your throat, make you believe it. Like, you don't have to. Like, there's a couple things like that I do kick at. That's not like she like will literally come into my face. She will sit me down and be like, I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like none of it. You need to change it. I'm not gonna force you, but you're own. You do you. Just know how I feel. And the thing is, I gotta respect her on that. There are things she does that I don't like, but we best friends. We literally will respect each other's decisions. We just know she knows if there are certain things that I do that I will not bring around her. There are certain things she does that she don't bring around me, because we respect each other's. Now we respect each other's personality, and we're like, but we know how each other feels. All right, kid. So we are now coming down to the last minute. We're the last minute. So it's the last question. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here it is. What is some advice that you would give to a person in the world who either going into the career or building their relationship in Christianity?
I would say that for both, everybody's path is different, and they're not the same. They don't have the same work ethic. They don't have the same attitude. They don't have the same experience or the same path or the same circumstances. So, with that being said, do not compare yourself to others, because you will hold yourself back. That would be my best thing. And with your relationship with God, it's good to start at the basics, but don't be stuck in the basics and then your mind does not expand more. And change and evolving and progressing is not comfortable. That's why they call it growing pains. And that's for career and faith. So that is my advice.
She didn't get like 4 different sermons in 2 statements. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, Kailyn, we want to thank you for being a part of I Am Not Church. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Please go back and listen to episode 1 with Leon, 2 with PM, who we call Angeline Gardner. Her real name is Angeline Gardner. And then check this episode out. Share this with your friends. And our next episode, you're not going to believe who I'm bringing in for the next episode. Next episode, I'm bringing Sandrew King Sr. It's coming through. Me and Sandrew crack jokes. We've been friends for years, so you don't want to miss that episode. So we want to thank you for tuning in. Kailyn, thank you for being a part of the show. And we will see you guys next time.
I'm not